Artisanal jams and jellies, producing small batch preserves from unique fruit combinations. This is a comprehensive guide to the art and science of small batch preserves. Since we are moving away from the industrial sugar bomb approach, we're going to focus on technique, flavor, layering, and the chemistry of the set. Making artisanal jam is a slow-motion conversation with the seasons. It's about taking a fleeting moment, the 3 weeks when apricots are perfect, or the heavy heat of blackberry, August, and capturing it in a glass jar. Because we are working in small batches, we can prioritize nuance over volume. The heart of the small batch philosophy. In a commercial kitchen, jam is made in massive steam-jacketed kettles. Because the volume is so high, it takes a long time to heat up and even longer to cool down. This sustained heat destroys the volatile aromatic compounds that make fresh fruit smell so good. It also breaks down the natural color, leading to that dark, muddy maroon color you see in cheap supermarket jars. The artisanal way is different. By working with only 1 to 2 kilograms of fruit at a time, we use a wide pot to maximize evaporation. And we want to get the jam to its setting point as quickly as possible. The goal is a short boil. A jam that reaches its set in 10 to 15 minutes will taste like the fruit it was made from. A jam that boils for 45 minutes will just taste like cooked cooked sugar. Small batches also allow you to be nimble. You can experiment with a single vanilla bean, a splash of single malt scotch, or a handful of herbs from your garden without risking a massive amount of inventory. It is low risk, high reward culinary alchemy. The essential toolkit. You don't need a high-tech kitchen, but artisanal jam requires a few specific items to ensure consistency. The pot. This is your most important tool. You want a pot that is wider than it is tall. This increases the surface area, allowing steam to escape rapidly. Stainless steel with a heavy tri-ply bottom is excellent because it prevents hot spots that can scorch the delicate fruit sugars. If you really want to go pro, a copper jam pan is the gold standard because copper conducts heat so efficiently that the jam reacts almost instantly to changes in your stove's temperature. The scale. Throw away your measuring cups. In the world of preserves, volume is an enemy. A cup of chopped strawberries weighs significantly less than a cup of strawberry puree. To get the chemistry of the pectin right, you must weigh your fruit and your sugar. A simple digital kitchen scale is all you need. The testing plates. Before you even turn on the stove, put 3 or 4 small ceramic saucers in the freezer. We will use these later to check the wrinkle of the jam. Jarring tools. You'll need a wide-mouth funnel to keep the jar rims clean, a jar lifter to save your fingers from boiling water, and high-quality glass jars with 2-piece vacuum lids. The 3 pillars. Fruit, sugar, and acid. Every jar of jam is a chemical tripod. If one leg is missing or too short, the whole thing collapses into a puddle or turns into a brick. One fruit, the soul of the jam. For artisanal work, quality is everything. You want table-ripe fruit, the kind you'd be happy to eat right there over the sink. However, there is a secret. Use about 20% slightly underripe fruit. Fruit contains pectin, the natural glue that makes jam gel. As fruit ripens, its pectin turns into pectic acid, which doesn't gel as well. By mixing in a few firmer, slightly tart pieces of fruit, you are adding a natural boost of pectin and a hit of bright steady that balances sugars. To sugar. The architect. In artisanal jam, we use sugar as a preservative and a structural element, not just a sweetener. Sugar binds to the water in the fruit, which does 2 things. It prevents spoilage by making water unavailable to bacteria, and it allows the pectin chains to find each other and bond. Many modern low-sugar recipes rely on commercial pectin powders to force a set. In the artisanal tradition, we prefer to use a bit more sugar, usually 65% to 75% of the fruit's weight, and let the natural pectin do the work. This results in a cleaner, more glass-like clarity in your jam. 3. Acid, the catalyst. Acidity is what makes the flavors pop, but it's also chemically necessary. Pectin molecules are naturally negatively charged, meaning they repel each other like the same ends of a magnet. Adding acid, usually lemon or lime juice, neutralizes those charges, allowing the pectin to come together and form a mesh. If your jam refuses to set, 90% of the time, it's because you didn't add enough acid. Flavor architecture, designing your signature blend. This is where you move from cook to artist. Think of jam like a perfume. You want a top note, a heart note, and a base note. Top note's the first thing you smell. These are volatile aromas like citrus zest, fresh herbs, mint, basil, lemon, verbena, or floral waters, rose, orange blossom. Heart notes, the body. This is the fruit itself. High quality berries, stone fruits, or palms. Base notes, the lingering finish. These are heavy, grounding flavors like vanilla, dark chocolate, toasted nuts, aged balsamic vinegar, or warm spices like cardamom and star anise. Try these artisanal combinations. Blackberry and bay leaf. The savory, medicinal quality of the bay leaf cuts through the intense sweetness of the berries. Strawberry and pink peppercorn. The peppercorns provide a floral heat that makes the strawberries taste even redder. Pear and ginger with vanilla, a sophisticated warming preserve perfect for winter mornings. Apricot and amaretto, the almond notes of the liqueur mimic the natural almond flavor found inside the apricot pit. Step by step, the artisanal method. Step 1, maceration. This is the most overlooked step in home jam making. Once you have weighed and chopped your fruit, mix it with the sugar in a large non-reactive bowl. Cover it and let it sit for at least 4 hours, or ideally overnight in the refrigerator. During this time, the sugar performs osmosis, pulling the juices out of the fruit. This creates a concentrated syrup and toughens the fruit slightly so it doesn't completely disintegrate into mush when cooked. You'll end up with beautiful jewel-like chunks of fruit suspended in a clear jelly. Step 2. The warm-up. Transfer the macerated fruit and all the accumulated syrup into your wide pot. Add your acid, usually the juice of 1 large lemon per kilogram of fruit, and any heart spices like cinnamon sticks or vanilla beans. Heat the mixture over medium-low, stirring gently with a wooden spoon or a silicone spatula. You want to ensure every single grain of sugar is dissolved before the mixture comes to a boil. If you boil it while sugar crystals are still present, your finished jam might turn grainy later on. Step 3, the rapid boil. Once the sugar is gone, turn the heat to high. You are looking for a rolling boil, a vigorous bubbling state that cannot be stirred down. At this point, do not leave the stove. You will see foam, scum rising to the surface. This is just air and impurities from the sugar. While you can skim it off, a classic artisanal trick is to add a tiny pat of butter, about the size of a pea. The fats in the butter break the surface tension and cause the foam to dissolve back into the jam, leaving it clear and bright. Step 4, finding the set. This is the moment of truth. As the water evaporates, the temperature will rise. Most jams reach a set around 104 degrees Celsius to 105 degrees Celsius at sea level. However, don't just trust the thermometer. Perform the cold plate test. Take one of your frozen saucers. Drop a teaspoon of the hot jam onto it. Let it sit for 30 seconds. Now push the edge of the jam with your fingertip. If your finger slides right through it like soup, keep boiling. If the surface of the jam wrinkles up like a tiny piece of silk, it is ready. Step 5, the finishing touches. Turn off the heat. This is when you add your top notes, things like fresh herbs, citrus zest, or spirits like bourbon or gin. Adding them now ensures the alcohol doesn't all cook off and the delicate oils in the herbs aren't destroyed. Let the jam rest in the pot for 5 to 10 minutes. This is a crucial artisanal secret. If you pour the jam into jars immediately, the fruit pieces will all float to the top. By letting it cool slightly, the syrup thickens just enough to trap the fruit in suspension, ensuring every spoonful has a bit of everything. The science of preservation, jarring, and sealing. Artisanal jam should be shelf stable so you can enjoy the taste of June in January. Sterilization. Your jars should be bone clean and hot. You can keep them in a low oven, 100 degrees Celsius, in a pot of simmering water. Putting hot jam into a cold jar can cause the glass to shatter, a phenomenon known as thermal shock. Filling the jars. Use your funnel to fill the jars, leaving about 6 mm or 4 inch of space at the top. This head space is vital for creating a vacuum. Wipe the rim of the jar with a clean, damp paper towel. Even a single grain of sugar on the rim can prevent the lid from sealing, which leads to mold later. Place the flat lid on and screw the metal band until it is fingertip tight, meaning you stop as soon as you feel resistance. Do not use a wrench. Air needs to be able to escape during the next step. The water bath. Place your jars on a rack in a large pot of boiling water. The water must cover the tops of the jars by at least 2 centimeters, 1 inch. Boil them for 10 minutes. This process kills any remaining microorganisms and forces the air out of the jar. As the jar cools, a vacuum is created, pulling the lid down tight. The cooling phase. Carefully remove the jars using your jar lifter and place them on a wooden board or a thick towel. Do not place them directly on a cold stone countertop. Now comes the best part, the ping. As the jars cool, the metal lids will snap downward with a distinct metallic sound. This is the sound of success. Let them sit undisturbed for 24 hours to allow the pectin set to fully set up. If you shake them now, you might break the delicate pectin bonds, and during troubleshooting the batch, even for masters, jam can be finicky. Here is how to handle a batch that didn't go as planned. In the runny jam, the soft set. If your jam is still liquid after 24 hours, don't panic. You can call it a dessert sauce and pour it over ice cream. Or you can pour all the jars back into a pot, add the juice of half a lemon, and boil it for another 3 to 5 minutes. Rejar and reprocess as usual. The rubber jam, the overset. If you boiled it too long, the jam might be stiff and hard to spread. The best fix for this is heat. When you're ready to use it, take what you need and warm it slightly in the microwave or a small saucepan with a teaspoon of water. It will loosen up beautifully. The cloudy jam, this usually happens if you stirred the jam too vigorously during the boiling phase, or if you didn't dissolve the sugar completely. It's perfectly safe to eat, though it lacks that professional gemstone clarity. The presentation from jar to gift. An artisanal product is defined by its story. When you label your jars, include the specifics. Instead of peach jam, try late summer Alberta peaches with Madagascar vanilla. Small touches matter. Use a high-quality textured paper for labels. Mention the harvest date. Tie a small sprig of the herb used in the jam, like dried lavender or rosemary, to the neck of the jar with twine. A note on creativity. The most important thing to remember is that recipes are just starting points. Once you understand the ratio of fruit to sugar and the necessity of acid, the world is your orchard. You can make savory jams, tomato and chili, floral jellies, violet or dandelion, or even bowl, traditional fruit butters. And the more you practice, the more you will hear the jam. And you'll learn to recognize the sound of the bubbles, changing from a light splash to a heavy rhythmic thump as the water leaves and the syrup thickens. That is when you truly become an artisan.